Welcome, crew, to What Are Your Three, a Channel 3 podcast, where we take a member of the Channel 3 community, discuss 3 games of their choosing, go through some honorable mentions, a future game, some other odds and ends, to have an all-around video game discussion. I'm Dan Tucker, and with me as always is El Ray.
Hey everybody, tonight's guest is the local Elden Lord and an Eagles fan. I guess I have to say an Eagles fan. It is, in fact, c3.gg/dosandres. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing good. Thanks for asking me to do this. I was very excited and grateful that I got asked to come on and talk.
The best part is that we're recording this the night before the Super Bowl. So when this comes out on Wednesday, you and I are either going to be still celebrating and in a state of just bliss, or we're going to be really miserable by then. I don't know which one it's going to be by the time this drops.
I've never been so positive about the Eagles.
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. We'll see if this comes back to bite us come Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'll be excited to change my name back on C3. Once the Super Bowl's over, worst bet of my life.
All right. Well, on that note, then, let's get to game one. Let's go to Super Mario Kart on the SNES, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, 4.4 rated. Dosandres, I got to start off with this one, though. This was your. We asked everyone for a useless fact this week in video games, and this was yours you dropped. Let's hear that to kick this thing off.
So, I can't remember how I learned this. I think I read it like in a Nintendo Power magazine or something back in the day. I'm starting to show my age. I remember when you held down Y and pressed A, or basically you pressed both at the same time, and it would shrink your eraser, which I remember when I tried it, I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's got to be something good. Like, it's going to make me do better. I'm going to win now. No problem, like the 150cc. And I was immediately proven wrong before the first lap was even over. You're slower than everybody else, and then you get run over by everybody else. It was just literally the most useless thing that could ever be put into a game.
Yeah, not only was it a useless fact, but it's a useless thing to have happen for you in the game. There's no better way to put it than that.
Yeah, there's no point of that.
So let's talk about this. So how did this start off the 3? We never give anybody, we never say, oh, give us your best 3 games of all time. We never say never a theme, but why did this one start off your list for the 3?
So this was probably the first game that I actually kept playing and got addicted to. I never had an NES. I played it at a friend's house. My aunt had one. And I'd play games on it. And I really wanted a Super Nintendo. So we got the Super Nintendo at Easter, and it came with the Super Mario Brothers. But the first game that we bought was Super Mario Kart, and we bought it because like my younger brother. But the love of that game and how I thought at the time, I swear I thought that game was the most graphically best game I've ever seen in my life, because it wasn't just a side-scrolling game like most of those games were back then. You would drive and you'd see the back of the driver, and you'd make that turn, and then you'd see that like the side of the driver, and then you'd spin out and see the front of the driver. I just thought it was the craziest thing in the world. It's not going to get better than that. That's what I thought at the time. But the competitions we'd have in our family with that Super Mario Kart, it got out of control sometimes. But it's really what kind of led me to just love Mario Kart throughout.
So who was the racer you went with? Did you go with the light? Did you go with the mediums to get a little bit of balance? Did you go with the heavies just to go pure blunt speed? What'd you do?
So I went with Toad all the time. I think that was a popular one. I didn't know it was so popular. But I went with Toad. I think it was because of the acceleration, so I could get in front. And what I caught on to pretty quick is I picked Toad because who you picked depended on what like the race order was. So I'd always have Donkey Kong, which was kind of a pain. But it seemed like I always did best with Toad. That's just who I chose. But there were so many things about that game that would frustrate me, but I still loved it and played it. And it was one of the few games that my dad would actually play with me, so I always had fun with that.
So if I were to say today, or even back then, hey, this is the race. This is the one that's going to decide everything. But you know what? You pick the course. What's the course you're going to where you know you're going to take care of business? Whether this is back in the 90s or whether it's today, take your pick.
Mario Circuit 1. I know the first race in the game, and it's pretty easy to navigate.
Yeah,
I could still do the turns, and it was actually my first week on Channel 3. They had the one of the challenges was the Mario Circuit 1 time trial, and it was crazy because my first week and I won it. Now I didn't win it with Toad. I learned that Toad's not going to win the time trial. I think I won it with Donkey Kong or Bowser. But also, I think there's an asterisk next to it because Basic wasn't racing that race either. So.
Yeah, the basic corollary. We don't have to worry about calling that out at a particular time. Well, I'll tell you this much: by the time anybody hears this, you're gonna need Super Mario Kart for this week. So buckle up and make sure you got it booted up because it's coming. I dusted it off for this week's challenges even before seeing your list. So get ready.
And the one other thing that really got the game in my memories, my parents are pretty strict about video games. I think they realized pretty soon that I was going to get highly addicted to it. So they made rules where we couldn't play during the week, we had to play on the weekend. We weren't allowed to yell at the TV because we would do that. But I remember one summer, I lost privileges for playing the Super Nintendo all summer long because my mother went up and she was kind of cleaning up after us, which she was getting upset with. So she told us, "Hey, come up here and clean up," because we were supposed to wrap up all the controllers are connected with the cord. So she didn't like it when we left it out everywhere. But she picked up one of the controllers and she looked at me and she's like, "What is this?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You know what this is. What is this? Did you bite your controller?" It's like, "Well, the Donkey Kong catching up to me and knocking me out of the ring." So I lost privileges for the entire summer, which is probably a good thing because I shouldn't be getting that angry as a kid at a video game or bite the controller, but keep marks into it.
Yeah, your orthodontist was probably disappointed. They were looking forward to getting a little extra visit from you there.
Yeah, but I always thought I remember that quick.
So we move on to game number 2 on the list, Red Dead Redemption. So are we talking about the first game or is this more of the series?
I could talk about both, but it's the second one. Red Dead Redemption 2, I picked it because the story is just amazing. You know, I played the first one, but I don't remember much about it. I remember the story, but it doesn't really stick out. It was during a time of my life where I really wasn't playing games regularly. But Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of fell into the same trap everyone else did. Or not everyone, but from what I see, people start the game and then they quit. I couldn't get past the first chapter. I saw it as boring. I was stuck in the mountains with the snow. And then I tried it again and I quit. I got a little bit further, and then finally the third time I started playing it, and the detail in that game, it's hard to think. I'm playing it again. I'm on my second playthrough right now, and I'm taking more time to go explore because the story was so good. I almost forgot to do the exploring part and do side missions. But the game is almost 5 years old, and it looks better than games that come out today. It's just crazy.
So you said you are doing the extra stuff now. Is that normal for you when you play kind of these open games? Do you try to stick to the main story first and then side quests kind of after the fact?
Yeah, I guess I'm not a big open world person. I played some games before. I think the last time I played Grand Theft Auto was like San Andreas, I think. It's been a while. Yeah, I'll do some side missions if I'm close by, but I don't know. I just want to get into the story. Kind of like, I guess, Fallout. I do love Fallout, but I do fall into the same trap. I don't explore or do anything. I just start going through the mission, especially about halfway through. You really want to find out what happens. But the story in Red Dead 2 is it's just, I don't think anything's ever going to beat it. And it's just an amazing story that you find yourself being just a really bad dude at the beginning, and you can't help it. I mean, it's like that Rockstar type game. You run around just lassoing everybody up and picking fights with everybody. And by the end of the game, I'm really caring about everybody and everybody in my crew, and I only want to do good stuff. And that's just how the game ends up ending. And it's probably the closest I've gotten to having watery eyes at the end of a game playing it.
You can admit it for the end of that game. Yeah.
Do you ever just sit and you're just kind of riding aimlessly on your horse?
Yep, I've been doing it the last few days. I even put some clips up because now I'm starting to look up all the Easter eggs. I don't think there's a game that has as many Easter eggs as that game. And it's not anything that kind of has to do with the game, but it's just random things that these people that made the game put into the world. And now, I mean, I'm not even sprinting when playing the game, I'm trying to move my horse as fast as possible from one spot to the other to keep the game going. But now I'll just gallop everywhere and I'll stop and kind of look around and see if I can see anything, or I'll look something up to see if I can find something that's kind of cool on the map. And then your character Arthur Morgan will even write it down on the map so you can go back and look at it. It's kind of a relaxing game, and it's just something I keep going back to now and keep playing even after I've beaten it.
Do you think there's room for Red Dead Redemption 3? Is that a thing, or does the second game kind of close it out?
No, I think there is, and if you go online, there's a lot of where's it going to go from here? Because Red Dead Redemption 2 ends pretty much right where, and it's the game's been out for 5 years, but it ends right where, kind of close to where Red Dead Redemption 1 starts. So about close to that time frame area. But I think I would like to see almost like another prequel. Because this gang shows up and in Red Dead Redemption 2, and everyone's got a personality. Everyone is different, and everyone. It's a game. It's not just an NPC I don't care about. I don't think I didn't care about any of the gang members, except for Micah Bell. He can go to hell. Everyone hates him. but the game is just a good game. Like, all right, y'all could probably cut that out. I'm losing my train of thought. But it's I want to see where the gang came from. I want to see how Dutch got the gang together, because the NPC, the gang, they all have personalities. You kind of wonder how did this dude get this gang together where everyone's a little different, they all look different, they all act different from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. How did he get this band of misfits together? And I wouldn't mind seeing that, playing that game.
And on that note of wondering where did these people come from and what are their backgrounds and how did we get to where we are today, we go to game number 3, which is Elden Ring. The biggest what in the world was the backstory to this game? Let me start with this. So how many hours are you into this game now? Let's start with that.
I think last I turned it on, it was like 346 hours. It took over my life. I forgot I had to switch. I had other games. It was just crazy.
How many runs of the game have you completed?
I think I'm on new game 7 plus 7.
That's the last difficulty one, I believe, right?
No, I've seen on Twitch. It just goes infinitely.
But there's a point where the difficulty stops getting harder.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the last one, and it's hard.
The last one. Yeah, I was told that it gets really hard again.
Yeah, the first few times I beat it, I was like, "This is easy. This isn't even fun." And I kind of just went through and went to different parts of the lands between that I hadn't been to yet, and actually did some other quests. But now I'm kind of getting worked everywhere I go, all over again.
So when you played, so did you just kind of run through the main storyline playing this game?
I didn't know the main storyline when I first played this. I kind of bought into the hype. I kept seeing commercials and I saw ratings. Oh, it's 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Everybody says 10 out of 10. I'm like, well, I guess that means it's for everybody. So I bought it and I turned it on. And how you start, it kind of gives you the intro about everything and the ring. And after the whole intro, you're like, I still don't know what this game is about. So then you come out of the cave or or first you start at that church and you fight that big beetle guy and you get killed.
You have no shot.
You have no shot. You get killed. And then you wake up and you're in that kind of cave or that catacomb. And I didn't know there was a tutorial, so I kind of went to the right. So I just kept going straight. And I come out, and it was beautiful. You kind of open those doors, and you're in Limgrave, and it's just beautiful. And the first person I see is Vares with the white mask. So I go talk to him, and he's just kind of talking down to me. And I was like, this guy's an idiot. I just want to fight him, see what happens. So I smack him around, and then he just kills me. And I was like, okay, well, I won't do that again. So I go back to that grace point inside the catacomb, and I come back out, and Vares is right there, and he runs straight.
He attacks you right away.
It's literally it's like that meme of Shane from The Walking Dead. Like I would open the door, and he'd be like, there he is, and he'd just come after me, and I couldn't even get away from him. So I quit, and I restarted my game, and I made a new character because I didn't know what to do. And then that time I just said hi to him and I went along my way. And then I proceeded to just get murdered for the next 10 hours in the game, not knowing what I was doing or what I was supposed to do. And it wasn't until I think everybody's first big war story in that game is when you get to Margit. Mm-hmm. And then you get beat by him for about 5 hours. And it's just the onslaught of getting killed over and over and over again. And then I finally beat him because I had to stop and go away from him. I couldn't beat him. I started exploring more and it's just the repetitiveness. I don't think it was until I got past the castle, that Stormhill Castle, that I really started to figure out the game.
What was... by the way, I had the same experience. I did the tutorial, and then I opened the doors, and then I saw Varys, and then I started hitting him because I said, "Oh, let's try this out." And then I had to reset the game because I looked it up, and they were like, "Yeah, don't do that. Don't hit the people that are not hitting you." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I don't know. I wondered. I had to do a lot of Googling playing this game. And especially, I got to Stormhill, the castle. Once I got, I finally beat Margit. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So then I get up to the castle. And then I get lost in the castle for another 10 hours. Because I talked to the one guy, and he's like, yeah, you can either go through the gate or you can go up, take this back way. And the back way is just gets you lost. And then you find out the guy's stealing your runes every time you die. And yeah, it wasn't until I got past Stormhill where it was definitely trial by fire. Like, okay, I think I'm starting to figure out how to dodge and attack and get a feel of how you're going to play.
So what was the most difficult part of the game for you?
The most difficult part of the game was probably learning that I shouldn't. There was definitely a learning curve. Like I didn't have to fight everybody. I was trying to fight everybody I saw. And then I finally learned, like, you don't have to fight everybody. You can run past them, I was like, what? Hey. So I just started running past everybody. And then, I think it's a big learning curve. And I keep reading that this game was the easiest game to, learn how to play. The other Souls games, they don't tell you anything. So, but gameplay wise, I think the hardest battle I had that really slowed me down was probably the Red Fire Giant, because you have to kill him, and I got stuck with him for a long time.
Oh, I put the game down because I had moved pretty smoothly for a while. Like you said, once you get through Stormhill, you're like, oh, okay, I'm settling in. I kind of get what I'm supposed to do. And then I got to that Red Giant, and I was like, why am I so lost again? Like, he's just smacking me every time.
Yeah, and then it's funny because I was talking to Tata Rana, who plays with us sometimes on the channel. He works with me, and he was like, "Dude, just go to the rune farm where there's a big chicken and you can shoot it with your arrow. We got a lot of runes." I was like, "What are you talking about? How do you get there?" He's like, "I kept trying to figure out how to get there, and I couldn't get there because it was under the ground." And he's like, "Well, if you go talk to Vares, the guy with the white mask, and you do his quest, he'll take you there." And I was like, "Okay." Well, I had already, after I leveled up, I was kind of pissed off at Vares for killing me the first time. So I kind of went back.
No.
So I naturally leveled up I think it was like 110 without doing any rune farming really, and just hacking away at people. But
that's impressive.
The first thing I do now when I start a new level is do that Vares quest. That's so I can get to that big rune farm.
How many have you done? Multiple endings? Have you cared to do different endings?
Yeah, I've done I did the first one I did was the Ronnie quest, which makes no sense. I don't think that I'll ever figure out why that quest line is like that, where she became like a moon or something at the end. And I don't know if I'm giving spoilers away, but it's been out a year. But all the endings are kind of the same. I did the Fia quest line, the one you go hug and she actually debuffs you a little bit. I did her quest and I beat the game. I did the Frenzy Flame quest line ending. I did another one. I think I did the Dung Eater one. But
which was your favorite one?
Probably the Frenzy Flame, just because it's so different than the rest of them. All of them, they kind of end with you on the throne, on that throne. But that one ends with you just destroying the world, basically.
I feel like a lot of people, once they go through it once or twice and they start figuring out these storylines of what happens to the characters, they almost feel like it's justified. Like, yeah, this is not working. We need to just burn it all down and start over again.
Yeah.
Especially the way you get, without giving it away, the quest line to get the Frenzy Flame and the kind of the things you see and go through. You're like, oh, yeah, man, things have gone really badly.
And I got stuck there for a while because to get there, it was crazy trying hard to get there. And then I got to the door and I was like, I don't know what to do. And after reading, I started reading more and more the signs on the ground that people would leave. And then I finally figured out what I had to do to get that door open. I don't want to say it. Make somebody else go. I want everyone else to go through the same struggles I went through. But what's crazy about the game, I would never play that game. It's not a type of game I would play. Before I played that, I was a Warzone, Call of Duty, Rocket League. I played like 3 games and that was it, at least for the past year or so. And then I tried that game and I was like, this is crazy. I encourage everyone to try it. I think it's been on sale a few times already, but you got to have time because you're going to get frustrated and you're going to not know what to do. And you're going to question, why did I even play this game? Why did I start it? But the mechanics, the spell casting, now every time I run through it too, I'll change my build up and try to beat the game a different way than I did the first time. So it's just a fun game.
All right, let's move into honorable mentions. 3 games are not enough, so we want to talk about 1 to 3 extra games, usually with our guests, that they have next up on the list. First one you have in your honorable mentions, NHLPA 93. Right before EA moved into NHL and making it fully there, I got to recognize before I even go any further, really elite power move by you, not going NHL 94. Normally that's one of those like pantheon years for it, but you did not go with NHL 94. And Ray, I also have to call this out. A couple notes I have here about this version of it. The One Star Warrior gave this game 2 stars, so this might as well. While this is a 3.0 rating overall on the site, may as well be a 5-star game right here.
Give a 2-star in a game that other people don't feel great about. Let me tell you, there's no order to this.
So I want to go into this because, like I said, NHL 94, that's the year that always comes to mind for me. And usually if you ask anybody, that's the one. And this is one where they call it specifically because the Players Association signed off on this, but not the league. So that's the funny, like, if I remember correctly, that's where the rights battle was with this. And that's why it's called NHLPA 93, not NHL 93. But you've got this listed on a quest as your favorite sports game of all time. And that's where I'm going to kick it to you and say, tell us about NHLPA 93, how this one end up not only as an honorable mention, but your favorite sports game of all time.
So it was probably the first sports game I played. And kind of like how I mentioned earlier, so people closer to my age, I'm getting promoted to my 40s this year. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be different. So my kids growing up, they're going to have me playing video games a bunch with them. I'll play games with them. I'll try games with them, whatever. But I think, a lot of people our age, I know I've heard that some people had their parents that would play games, but it just wasn't a thing for them because they didn't grow up with it. So my dad would play the NHLPA game with me, and we had lots of memories playing it. So that's why it was kind of my favorite game. And we played it a crazy amount of time. And we'd always fight because he's from Philly. He was born there and raised there. So we'd always fight for who's going to be the Flyers. And I'm sorry, the Philadelphia hockey team, because it wasn't the Flyers. Everything was the city hockey team because the NHL didn't have the license. They didn't get the NHL license. So we'd always fight over that. And, whoever didn't get the Flyers, I think we either played as like the Penguins or the Rangers just to keep it kind of a rivalry. But we had lots of fun playing it. And 94 was... a superior game to it because it did have the rights at that time, and the player movement was a lot better and it was a little faster. But we'd always play it. We'd make certain rules because the game was very, it had its little bugs. Like, the wraparound goal you could get every time. Just kind of take your player, go around, wrap around the net, and go past the goalie, and you just get it right by his stick or glove hand so easily. But a lot of it just has to do with the memories I had playing the game with my pop.
Well, so was this one a Genesis one, or was this the Super Nintendo?
The Super Nintendo.
Nice.
I mean, I still remember the line because if I was just playing, just me and my brothers. If it was me and my brother, I would be the Flyers, and I'm also player 1 because I'm the oldest. So they were always the other team. Naturally, that's how it worked. It was Eric Lindros. I mean, I remember the team: Eric Lindros and John LeClaire and Michael Renberg.
Yeah,
I think
Renberg was there. Yep, that's the right era.
Rod Brent, Ron Hextall. I remember the team, and it was just loads of fun playing it. I know I've been saying it, but that's why I picked it. Just lots of fun, a lot of great memories. Brothers and family, pops playing that game.
All right, on to game 2. We're going to jump up a system generation here and go to Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. I'm assuming, was this a Nintendo 64 for you, or was this PC? Okay, Nintendo 64. So, this is a strong era for Star Wars with, Rogue Squadron was in there. This was in there. I remember that. I think the thing that really stuck out to me was when they modified New Hope. You could see the Outrider taking off from Mos Eisley at one point. I remember doing the DiCaprio meme, pointing, and there it is. There's the ship from the game. Yeah, I get it. I know that this is all expanded universe stuff too, but I just remember really big Star Wars era with all the re-releases happening, and some killer games on the 64. And again, I'm gonna reference a quest. We still got to get to your quest question later down the line, but you brought up your favorite game mod / cheat. We had a quest for that, and this game came up for that. So tell me about that one here before we get started on the game.
So I don't remember how you did it. I couldn't remember it, but there was like a little debug menu. I know that. So this little menu would come up, and I was like, I thought that you could only do this on computers. So the little menu, you had to press or hold buttons a certain way on the 64 controller. A little menu would pop up, and you could change, the fog or the lighting of the level, the gravity, the weapons, and on some levels you could change what you were flying on the levels that you flew. I know, you could change it to a TIE fighter, or I'm pretty sure, you could even do the Millennium Falcon, because I remember getting out of that, that little escape out of the center of that space station in the Millennium Falcon. But I always thought it was cool. I was like, there's no way I can do this. It's crazy. It's like I don't even need a Game Genie or nothing. I can do it just from the game. I thought it was cool that they put it in there like that.
All right, thanks for that detour. So tell me, how'd this one end up number 2 on the honorable mentions here?
Like other ones, I remember when the first time I played this game, we got the 64 for Christmas, and my parents got it for us. But they thought it was going to be like Super Nintendo, where it comes with a game. So we opened it up, and there's no game with it. So we're like, oh, you didn't get a game? They're like, oh my God, what do we do? Well, so we run to Blockbuster. And of course, everyone's in there already getting Nintendo 64 games. So we run to the next closest Blockbuster. And they only had one game on the shelf, and it was the Star Wars game. It was that game, and we just all started playing it. I remember we all kind of sat there and watched it. And just like I thought with Mario Kart, I was like, oh my God, I was wrong with Mario Kart. This is the best it's going to ever get. Look at this. I'm flying all around. It's 3D. I'm tying up AT-ATs and AT-STs. This is crazy. I was like, it doesn't get better than this. And I feel like I've said that all the time, but that's what we truly felt like. It because of the huge difference in graphics between Super Nintendo or Genesis to 64 was just astronomical. It felt like.
My kids were cracking up because I mentioned to Ray earlier, we were listening to the Bam Monty episode of the podcast, and talking with him about, he's talking about games from a few years ago now and how they look terrible now. I said, you go back to our era and you and I are the same age. We're right there, early teens when the Nintendo 64 even came out. I remember Nintendo 64 turning on. It was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And in my memory still, it looks like Mario Odyssey. And same thing when it comes to this, this game here. No, this is like playing with actual people. And you go back and it's this, the blocky 64 graphics. But I remember, like you said, you talked about Nintendo Power earlier. I was a Game Informer guy, but yeah, you're seeing stuff coming out like this is never going to get better than this. And I remember with that game too, because you're like, wait, there's levels that are, third person shooters. There's levels you can fly in the ship and you're in a Star Wars battle. I get, this is like 2 games in one. I'm in the Battle of Hoth. What's good? This is great.
Oh yeah. Just that first level, the Battle of Hoth. You're like, oh my God, this is, it's just like the Star Wars, because we'd watch, A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. We wore out those VHSs growing up, watching those movies over and over again as kids. So we just thought it was amazing, and we did think the same thing. Like the next thing after this is gonna be real people. They're gonna have real people playing this game, but yeah, it's blocky.
First of all, I'm still gonna contend. I still think to this day the Nintendo 64 was the greatest change in graphics. I still look at it today like, wow, this is amazing. You know what? It doesn't get better than this. It's still not better. I don't care how terrible the camera is in any game trying to move it around. There's nothing better than the Nintendo 64. The greatest jump of all time.
I need to get a hold of one of these Switch Nintendo 64 controllers because the mapping
impossible.
of the controller is impossible, first of all.
Yeah.
And
it's a big miss. It's a big miss the way they try to map it.
I keep going through in my head. I'm like, is this the worst aged system of all time for me right now? Because I'm just trying to figure out, like, what is it that, like, I need to stop playing on here right now. That's all. I got to stop playing the games on the Switch and try and find some way to get a hold of one of those controllers that's not going to be available for 3 more years because Nintendo made 12 of them and scalpers got a hold of them. But I'm muting myself and getting off my soapbox.
Last game on the honorable mentions, Overwatch 2. Which is new to me. I wasn't playing Overwatch 1. I was playing Overwatch 2 as well. How are you getting into this one?
So I picked this game because the Channel 3 actually got me into it. I would never have played this before. I think I played Overwatch for about 10 minutes before. It was like a free trial because I think you had to buy the original Overwatch. Mm-hmm. So they had like a free trial on Xbox. And I tried it. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm doing. What's the purpose of this game? I didn't get it. So I played 10 minutes and deleted it. And then Overwatch 2 is free. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll give it a try. And then I remember I started trying it, and I didn't get it at first, but then I was playing with It's White Thunder, and I think I was playing with Nanner, and they kind of taught me a little bit how to play the game, how to get into it. And then I still kind of didn't feel like I was that good, and I was getting frustrated, so I kind of stopped. But it wasn't until that Battle Mercy challenge. I was like, all right, let me give it another try. And I got in there, and I was like, oh my God, this game is amazing. I was like, this has got to be the most team-based tactical game I've ever played. You cannot go anywhere by yourself in that game. And just, it's not like Call of Duty where you can have one guy that just go slides all over the place, jump slide, dive, and just kill everybody. Everyone has a job in the game, and everyone has to do it. If you don't do it, your team's going to lose. And you're not going to get, it's not like someone can be like, well, I'm just going to go out there and get a lot of kills to get me points. It's not going to work. You're going to get eliminated. So that's why I picked that game. It's fairly new to me, but the Channel 3 guys and everybody got me into it.
You're right. It's definitely it's the most different shooter I've played, and it's the reason I use mouse and keyboard now. That was the game where I really realized I could not play on controller. So you said everyone has a job to do. What's your favorite job to do? Do you have a favorite job? I'm
stuck on the healer or the support role. Mm-hmm. And that's because at first I was like, I don't think it doesn't look fun. But I started playing like the damage and then the tank. But I didn't have a good healer on the team, so I just kept getting killed. So I was like, that's not fun now. So I was like, well, if I don't trust anyone else to heal me, so I'm just going to be the healer myself. So then I've just been stuck with that. And even that Battle Mercy challenge, I tried it at first. I was like, this is impossible. How is this White Thunder and it's Sam Skig? How are they getting like 20 kills? I don't get it.
I still don't know how they did it.
Yeah. And I kept playing, and I got closer and closer. I think during that challenge week, I got up to like 11 or 12. And then now I've done it, and I can get up into 20 or 20 or so now, but still can't get up to what they had. But I'm kind of switching around between all the healers, and every once in a while I'll try a tank if I know the people I'm playing with or something like that. But I definitely stick with support.
I got to jump in here because I'm pretty sure Channel 3 is responsible. Overwatch 2 had their routine updates of characters, and Mercy basically got nerfed into oblivion. And I'm 99% sure that the Battle Mercy challenge caused some sort of aberration in Overwatch 2 statistics that resulted in Mercy being nerfed, because it happened immediately after Battle Mercy week. There's no way this was not the fault of Channel 3 doing that challenge. You can't tell me otherwise. I'm putting it on the record here.
We're influencing all kinds of places. Like I told Dan and Joel earlier today, Facebook noticed us and sent us a little request saying that we're breaking the protocols of the site or something like that, except it was a very fancy Y that let you know that wasn't touching
nothing like a Cyrillic Y thrown in there. Really convincing random page.
That's where C3 is influencing all kinds of groups.
Good.
Let's move to the future. One game you're looking forward to, and it's Hogwarts Legacy, which I can let you know because I've been playing for the past 3 days that I left the main mission line. I did a couple to allow me to get out, and now I just started running. I just ran off.
He's going off the grid. He's going off the grid.
The map's much bigger than I realized it was going to be. I thought it was the castle and one city, and today I just scrolled with my controller and realized it goes very far. And I'm sure if I get my broom, I can travel it better. But I haven't gotten that far, so I'm just running on foot, and I'm just going.
Dose, I should have said it this way for you. He's taking Rory off the grid. This guy's taking Rory off the grid.
Yes, classic Rick and Morty.
so I can tell you that you can just go travel. I'll tell you that much about it. So why are you looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy?
So, I know it came out, but I've been looking forward to it, and I haven't played it yet because honestly, I kind of need that Elden Ring fix again. And it kind of looks like a game that could fill it, where I need a game, and I don't know how long it would take to beat it, but the amount of just extra stuff you could do, like from what I'm seeing, like I've seen on Twitch during the previews and everything, where you can just kind of go out there and do your thing, like you said, just, all right, I'm just not going to deal with the mission right now, and I'm just going to go do whatever I want. And it just looks like that type of game. I kind of got into the whole, I wasn't into games before that were all like, ooh, magic. I was more like hack and slash type dude in a game, and it wasn't until I played Elden Ring I was like, okay, magic's kind of cool now. And so it just looks like it could give me that Elden Ring fix that I could use since last year.
I'll say it's definitely a quicker game. Like if you stay on the main storyline, you'll probably finish it faster. I've seen some people say it could take like 40 hours to do. It's going to take me more than 40 because I'm just running. I'm just running around. I killed 10 spiders today. That was and I got an award for it. Like that's what I did today. I fought spiders.
I think it started with you putting a post up about Mrs. Ray spending 20 minutes just crafting the avatar for the game. That should tell you enough.
And then she went to Hogsmeade and paid money, or the in-game money, to change her character again. It's already happened. Are you a Harry Potter fan, or is it just I played Elden Ring and I need to play open world games?
I mean, I watched I watched all the Harry Potters when I was younger, and even as an adult, because the first one came out in like 2000, I think. So, and I didn't really read the books. But, when I was in high school, they were coming out, and every now and then I'll turn on HBO Max and be like, oh, look, I'll watch it again. And then a few months ago, my daughter wanted to watch it, and then she kind of stopped after, I think, Goblet of Fire. She said it started getting too scary for her. So, yeah, probably.
It starts getting dark.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, I'm not, like, a huge fan of it, but I've watched all the movies, and I thought they were good. So I imagine it would help me kind of even like it more.
All right, Dose. So we're going to take a look at a question from the Channel 3 history books to discuss with you here. We don't warn you about this one. We just pull one from the history and surprise you. So the quest we've picked for you, if you could have one game remade, what would it be?
I don't even remember what I picked. I answered this one?
You did. You put Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh my God, yeah, I did. Okay, that makes sense. I think that game was at the end of the life cycle of Nintendo 64, and it was definitely like a game I was like, I don't want my parents seeing me play this game because it's definitely not a good game for them. It was definitely an M-level game, but it was kind of fun. It was fun, and it was easy to play and had good controls and a good story, a good dumb story. And I wouldn't mind seeing that either remastered or kind of another story with the same wackiness to it.
It's funny, we talked about the video game magazines back then, and I mean, it felt like the development cycle for that one took forever. Like you said, it was towards the end of the life for the Nintendo 64 when all was said and done, but it felt like it was coming for years. And I also had no idea, looking at those earlier magazine publishings and everything, if anybody's not familiar with this game, it's from Rare. So, they also did Banjo-Kazooie. Obviously, they did the GoldenEyes of the world and whatnot, but probably Banjo-Kazooie is the most comparable game where you've got kind of like the same engine, the same appearance, these bright colors, these cartoony-looking characters, except it's deranged. And I remember, I think I'm the one who put in the library posting for Conker's Bad Fur Day, because I remember putting the, I'll just say, giant poop monster in there with the corn teeth. Like, it's just like, what is this game? Because Nintendo was so... No, I also posted a meme the other day about like the darkness of PlayStation. Nintendo's over here with the bright, like, oh, we are a family-friendly system. It was a major coup, and Resident Evil's coming on in Nintendo systems because they weren't going down that line, and Sony built themselves on the worthy adult empire. Come on over here. This is an adult entertainment system. And then you have this deranged game about a cartoon squirrel who's got a hangover.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what the game is. You're just kind of running around kind of either hungover or drunk, part of the game, and there's all these questionable characters and bosses that we don't need to talk about on here, but it's
Way too many. The censor button only gets so much use. I can only do it so many times. If Thunder only needed it one time, we can't talk anymore about this game.
Yeah, it's that type of game, and not that I'm like that type of deranged person either, but it was a pretty funny storyline, and I wouldn't mind seeing it just kind of remade.
Last question that we ask every person that comes on the podcast: what's been your favorite feature on Channel 3 so far?
I love the quests, the daily quests and the weekly quests, but I love the community. I guess before Channel 3, I've always played games, but there was definitely parts of my life where gaming wasn't a priority, or I just didn't have the time to play. When I was 10 years in the Army, I had some time to play sometimes, but I didn't a lot. And then, with life and kids. So I don't want to say I was like a born again gamer with Channel 3, but it definitely took me off the wagon. I'm back. I'm relapsing back into gaming, which is good. It's fun, and I love the community. I love trying the new games. That's what I love. There's a bunch of games that I like now that I would never have thought about playing, but I see other people talk about it, play them, and I really look forward to what the site and the social media could be. I mean, you're not going to need these publishers or anybody to look at games anymore, because you're going to get real legit reviews in one spot from people leaving good reviews, and that's what I love about it. And I know Joel is 10 levels above us. Something I've thought of, he probably thought of 6 months ago or years ago, actually. So, but that's what I like. I like the community. A sense of almost camaraderie, something I've really missed too, camaraderie and community since I got out of the military. Like I said, I'm out here in lonely West Texas, and I'm not from here. I'm from the East Coast, so I didn't go back home when I got out. So I'm still out here, and a lot of my buddies, I talk to every once in a while, but I spend more time on Channel 3 talking with people, chatting it up, and the community is what I really love best.
All right, well, with that, we've made it to the end of another podcast. Thanks, dosandres, once again. You can find the podcast at c3.gg/podcast. They drop every Wednesday morning at 3:33 a.m. Eastern on all the major platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. I am El Ray. Dan Tucker puts this whole thing together, and executive produced by Joel Willis. Have a good day, everybody. Hey everybody, today's guest is the Loken.
I got through the introduction. Yes!
And there
I got through
is.
two of them that I still can't figure out how to actually introduce it. Yes!
It's my turn.
Hi, Joel.
All right, let's try again.